Hello.
How you doing, Marshall?
I'm doing good. Doing quite good. Things last week were pretty crazy. I didn't tell you this because I had just found out a day before, so I was still reeling from it, but or not reeling from it, but I was still processing it. But I forgot to tell you that I got news last week that there was a possibility that the department I'm going into for grad school was their budget got slashed, and then there was a chance they were going to decrease stipends. And I was like, oh fuck. And then I just got word a couple days ago that the stipends are all safe. The budget got saved somehow. There was some sort of illegal, probably they sold drugs. I don't know. I don't want to ask questions, but
yeah.
I mean, how else can you make money in this economy? But yeah, I think that
I had there was a police incident at my on my street this morning. I don't really have the resources to figure out exactly what happened, but there were multiple police cars and police in the place down the road from me, and they were trying to get inside. I could clearly tell that.
Oh shit, the fuzz. Okay.
And then an ambulance arrived, and I'm pretty sure some people got taken into it. So I have no clue
what's
what went on. But
what's your preferred nickname for the police?
I like to call them the police. No, I mean,
You call them the police because that's my nickname for them. My proper name for them is the Polizei.
I mean, I guess coppers. I guess I call them coppers sometimes. Yeah. I don't have a lot of history with the police because I was brought up in Britain, where the police don't have guns, and then I lived in the Czech Republic where the police do have guns, and so since then I've just stayed away from them.
Dude, I mean, the police have guns. I'm used to police having guns, but when I went to Germany, there were police officers with fucking submachine guns just walking down the street. I was like, what the fuck is about to go down here? Is there
It was the same in the Czech Republic, yeah, that was why I was a bit oof. But apparently they're really nice though in the Czech Republic. Apparently they're
I'm sure.
But
no, I mean,
still, for someone who grew up in a very different culture, it was very weird for me.
I watched a documentary on the police in the Netherlands, and they're some of the nicest police in the world. They're supposed to enforce certain weed laws, and they were being interviewed walking the street, walking their beat, and they were like, the interviewer was like, "Isn't that guy smoking pot there?" And one of the cops was like, "Yeah, but he's had a rough time lately, so it's fine." And he's like, "You know him?" He's like, "Oh, that's Jeff." It's fun. Yeah, Netherlands police, from what I've heard, are really cool. But yeah, no. Well, I've never actually spoken to a police officer on duty. I've met cops before, but it's always been in the context of something else. But I've never had to report something to a cop. I've never had a cop come to me for something. I have luckily, because of my privilege, avoided them dutifully my entire life because I've always been a bit freaked out by them. Yeah. And that has only increased as I got older and as the world, has developed in the way it has. But yeah, no. Anyway, that was interesting. But yeah, no, things are going quite well for me, quite well. That whole budget thing got resolved, which was a huge weight off my shoulders. And we're finally starting to get shit sorted out in this room, which was the last room we were kind of moving into. UPS destroyed a bunch of Lily's shit in a box that was sent here. They just tossed it down staircases and blew it up somehow.
Are you, in the US, is it expected that they're gonna pay you for that, or are you fucked?
You can do a request, file a waiver. We did.
Replace the stuff though, right? Even if you get the money, yeah.
No, it doesn't. We filed it, and then they said no, you don't get the money. So not only can we not replace the stuff, we don't even get the money. So yeah, and all of the boxes came roughed up as fuck. One of them got so roughed up that they had to repackage it in a new box. They had to take everything out and put it in. And I'm just like, okay. So you guys are pretending as if this is our fault for not putting in enough packing peanuts or something, when clearly you were chucking these things out of trucks, at 40 miles an hour onto a street.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely. Have I ever told you the state in which my PC arrived in the Czech Republic?
oh God, no, I don't think so.
It might have been. It was like 2 years ago, so you might.
You might have. I just might have forgotten. But what was it?
One of my RAM sticks was out, and my graphics card was out of its socket, but still screwed in at the back. So you can imagine it's like screwed in at the back, but it's out of the socket. So it looked rough. I'm still convinced that graphics card is broken somehow, but it's still running. So
Miraculously.
Yeah.
That's spooky. So nothing actually got damaged, but it just got roughed up.
Nothing got damaged so much that it just doesn't work anymore. But it's I've always had.
But things got scratched up and shit.
Yeah, I've always had my suspicions. Yeah. I hate that motherboard anyway. It's way too small. I figured out when I was putting it together, I overspent like a motherfucker on this thing. I was like, I'm finally gonna make something that I don't have any complaints about, because there's always something I cheaped out about in the past, and I was like, you know what, I wish I had gotten something better. So I spent a lot of money on this, but I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy a decent motherboard, but I don't need to buy a big motherboard. So it's like it's like ITX, maybe micro ITX, I don't know, but it's really fucking small, and I was like,
I love Asus motherboards. They make those mothers fucking big. The Asus motherboards.
I'm pretty sure I do have an Asus motherboard. It's just a small.
You have an Asus? Oh, okay.
I've got Asus monitors, and I don't know about the motherboard. I think it's Asus actually. Was it? I can't remember. Even though, well, you can tell I don't turn the computer on a lot because I don't see that logo a lot. Usually it stays on. But yeah, it's too small. I will one day, I think, break and get a new motherboard. But I think that will be the day when I want to replace the graphics card. Also, I'm going back to air cooling. I'm not a fan of this all-in-one.
It always feels weird replacing a motherboard for me, because they're probably like, if you want, you can keep one for a really long time, because they don't age they're very durable. They usually don't have any problems. They age really well. So I always feel weird.
These days, though, they usually update the socket every generation.
That's fair.
They used to be able to get 3 or 4 generations out of a socket, but even these days, like even in the middle of a generation now, they're adding a pin just to fuck you over.
That's fucking annoying.
Yeah, so
that's trash.
It is trash, but are you surprised?
I'm not surprised by any of the garbage. I live in a dump. No. My life. No, I'm just kidding.
You can tell because we've been doing this show like 3 weeks now, and I still haven't unpacked any of that shit. So I still don't have a bed, people.
What? You don't have a bed?
I don't.
How'd you sleep 11 hours without a fucking bed?
On a couch. On a couch that I'm too big for, with legs hanging.
You're a good couch sleeper then.
It takes me.
Holy crap!
I'm just.
Yeah.
I'm broken. So when I'm asleep, I'm gone. I'm done.
Kind of like your character.
True, except I don't need to be woken up.
Except your character. Well, and your character probably falls asleep faster than you do.
Way faster.
Because your character doesn't suffer from insomnia at all. His problem is that he suffers from insomnia. I'm not sure what the term would be. The eternal sleep.
I like to think that every human being has a slight will to live that gets them up in the morning, and that's what Tarius lacks. Is that will. That human.
That's rough.
I'm going to reset my camera real quick because it's not focused. I should figure out how to do that properly one day. But resetting my camera works, so fuck it. Say again?
What do you mean properly? You're not doing it properly? Oh, you're just turning it on and off again. Okay.
Yeah, I imagine there's a way to set up the settings so that it auto-focuses or something, but yeah, fuck it.
There definitely is probably an autofocus on it in the drive or something.
Well, I think it is auto-focusing. It's just sometimes it breaks, and I guess if I knew more about cameras, I'd be able to figure out how it breaks or why it breaks.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe there's a sensitivity knob on it. You know what I mean? I just got to set that at the right level. Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like that. My last
Okay.
my last Voyagers campaign finished this week. Voyagers is done.
I saw the message. Yeah, I was like, oh man, that was it. To be fair, it didn't entirely surprise me because obviously I just occasionally get like the notifications that come in from that chat, and it's always like, sorry, had a doctor's appointment, or this person had to work, and it's if one person cancels in that group, the whole game gets canceled. And one person canceled almost every single week. It was wild. It was an impressive string of cancellations.
It was, and I'm not I'm not the type of guy to say like, or to keep that. If we were gonna run it once a month, I'd like that to be like explicit. And also, I'm not the kind of guy to say, "Oh, we'll just put it on hiatus." I don't, because it's the same thing as just saying it's over. So, yeah, we just brought it to a close. It's a bit of a shame because they did have good characters. And it was a good group dynamic, but yeah, it wasn't. I think a problem with it was I put it in the same kind of category as the other Voyagers things, and it was very different, and so it was hard to keep it like going afterwards because it didn't really feel like Voyagers. I guess is a good way of putting it.
It felt like, weren't they the ones doing the trash stuff?
The campaign was called One Man's Trash. It was fun. It would have been good. I think it would have been a short thing anyway. They were relatively close to the end, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm running a lot of 5e at the moment, so I'm enjoying that a lot, which is I think a part of the problem, because it means that I don't really want to go back to playing Star Wars because I don't like it as much at the moment to run.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's natural. I don't know. I definitely go through phases where, one system is calling to me more than another. And I think Star Wars is one of those ones where it's like you can get. I think Star Wars we've talked about this, but I think you can probably get burnt out of Star Wars more easily than you can in 5e because it's like a very kind of focused experience in terms of like the kind of campaign you're going to have. I feel like in 5e it's I think, and I could be wrong, but I feel like 5e is going to be more of a broad experience, right? Like a 5e campaign could turn into anything, whereas Star Wars campaigns, they've all felt roughly within the same kind of format, setup, delivery. Even though obviously some are higher quality and some have more interesting stories, the session layout always feels very similar to me.
I don't know how I feel about that. Instinctively, I think I disagree, but I can't put any arguments behind it, so I won't try to. But yeah, sorry if that doesn't add anything, but you make good points. I can't dispute them.
Look, it came out of your mouth, so I think it's wrong, but
that's not why I think it's wrong. I will say one thing is because I think I was playing Star Wars. I was running Star Wars a lot for about a year there. That I think I got a lot of knowledge about the system. I think I definitely know a lot about the system thanks to that. And I have come to the conclusion that for the most part, it's not what I want to run. It's something where I enjoyed the Voyager stuff. The two Voyagers campaigns, the Drops of Poison one and the 6 ships, I really liked, especially 6 ships because it was start to finish designed after I think I got a good grasp on the system, whereas Drops of Poison was like it started before I kind of had what I think is like my current level, and then it ended really recently. But like with 6 ships, it was like start to finish. It was like, okay, I think I know how this system works now. But yeah, I think it's something where I can do it every now and then, but yeah, it's not. I want something a little bit more, I guess, freeform, and that's where I think 5e is a little bit more up my alley, because I feel like Star Wars needs to be a bit more directed. Otherwise, players get frustrated because it's not so meaty mechanically. It's much more of a narrative system.
Yeah. But that's sort of is what I'm talking, because I think a 5e campaign can be sandboxy, but I think you can also design it to be a very narrative experience. Absolutely. Right? You can, but whereas if you designed a Star Wars sandbox, it would feel weird. In fact, I tried something like that, and it did feel weird.
Yeah.
I tried using the Star Wars rules to run a Fallout open-ended RPG, and it died after 2 or 3 sessions because like we all didn't enjoy it. Everyone I brought together for it, just no one was really vibing with it, and there was something weird about the rules that just was not that just didn't feel right in a kind of open world adventure like you would do in 5e, for example, normally. But I bet I've never done a 5e closed narrative arc, but I bet you could. I don't know what would prevent it. So that's.
Yeah, I mean, all of the supported adventures are pretty linear. So I don't know if you were talking about something else, but those are pretty directed, I guess.
Yeah, I've never actually run any of the.
I say all. I should put a caveat out there that in a few of them there are open world chapters, and specifically in Storm King's Thunder, it's very open world. But the others are especially Horde of the Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat. Those are very much here's a story, and you can deviate from it, of course. But if you don't want to, there is quite a linear.
I played in a game where the DM just took bits that she stripped out of Rise of Tiamat and just put them into her open world campaign. So we got aspects of that. Was it
in the Forgotten Realms or was it in a home setting?
It was in Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But we weren't following a narrative path that the campaign would expect us to.
It would have been funny if it wasn't in Forgotten Realms. I was curious about how difficult that would have been. It's just to try.
Oh, that probably would have been hard.
But yeah, no, that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Essentially, is giving all the plot hooks for all of the adventures and seeing what my players want to do.
Which adventures are you running right now, or just all of them? like you're just ready for.
I call it my Neverwinter sandbox. So no, it's ostensibly we're towards the end of Lost Mines of Phandelver at the moment. With one of my players is definitely vibing with a plot hook that isn't related to an adventure. It's just based on the books, the Companions trilogy, which is Night of the Hunter, Rise of the King, and then Iron Dwarf's Vengeance or something like that. And it's.
Have you read those, or you just know of them?
I've read 2 of them, and I'm currently reading the third. And I've read some of the earlier books in the series, so that helps me build plot hooks out. Because even though I don't know how this plot hook ends, I know the background.
Nice.
And then we're all pretty excited about the new Icewind Dale adventure coming out in September, because we're all big fans of Icewind Dale, and we're close-ish to there. So we're thinking about buying that and running it. And then there's a lot of plot hooks with my characters for Into the Abyss, which is an Underdark adventure for 5e. Or Out of the Abyss, I think it's called, actually. And that's an option. And then, of course, anytime you run in Forgotten Realms and you're not running, a very specific period, you could run Horde of the Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat. They're, the main story of 5e, so...
I think Out of the Abyss is the most confusing title for a D&D adventure. Because it's set in the Underdark, but
not the Abyss.
There is a plane of existence called the Abyss.
And spoilers, in the second half of the adventure does involve the Abyss.
Oh!
Yeah.
Well, then it's great. It's a great name.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I think it is anyway. I haven't read it in a while. It's a lot less descriptive than Into Avernus or whatever it's called, right? So the Baldur's Gate one. It is about that first layer of hell. Or the hells.
Yeah. The hells. 9 of them.
9. There are apparently 9 of them.
So I'm glad you're sleepy because we're gonna wake you up.
Yeah.
Specifically, there's one person who's gonna wake you up. Do you know who that person is?
Is it by chance a sea elf we all know and some of us love?
Do you love him?
Love is a complicated emotion, Marshall.
One that Tarius cannot feel.
That's true. That's probably true.
Because he has a robot heart built out of sand.
He needs the amulet of health to give him the constitution he needs to feel love.
That's actually a really weird and interesting. Like if you have that's like a Grinch thing. Like his two sizes too small, so he has a low constitution and he can't feel love.
Oh yeah, my heart is 2 sizes too small. They're like, oh, do you mean metaphorically? No, I have a medical condition. My heart is actually 2 sizes too small. It pumps blood at a reduced rate. It means my metabolism is very low.
It's a very serious mental physical condition. Are you hearing the music, by the way?
Yep.
Oh, now I am. I couldn't hear it before for some reason. But yeah, last session, your group, the Fist, Tarra's Fist, was going. I just looked at your screen. Was going through the pass that heads from Castle Gormland, or Castle Gormland, if you will.
No.
All the way, I will not, sir, to White Vale, or Vite Whale. Anyway, I actually prefer Vite Whale, because then it's like, it makes you think a whale has something to do with it.
I was thinking more of like the Banshee's whale.
Oh, yeah.
If you prefer it, why don't you change the name, Marshall? It's your world. Go for it.
It's too late!
Stop!
It is!
It's not!
It's too late! It would be incongruous. Okay, anyway.
Maybe
so you
get there and there's been a coup d'etat.
the Vite Vale.
Because you Vite Vale.
It's like, where are we? There's a giant whale. Anyway, so you guys entered the pass successfully.
Can you turn the music down a bit?
I'm gonna turn it up. Is what I'm gonna do. There you go.
Thank you.
You entered the pass successfully. You sent your rank and file home, and you guys got bogged down a little bit when you ran into a creature of sorts, an ogre. You ran into, but you weren't sure what it was. It was either an ogre or a troll or some sort of giant, and you guys were really hoping it wasn't giant, and very much hoping it wasn't a troll.
Yeah,
but
honestly, I think I would have been more concerned with a troll than like a hill giant. I think I would have been, even though I think a hill giant is technically like stronger, it's the regeneration I was scared of.
Yeah, a hill giant is actually the same CR as a troll, okay. So a troll might be worse for you guys.
I think so. Yeah.
I think a hill giant probably does more damage, and then the troll has the special abilities that make it tougher in those respects. Yeah.
So many horror stories about trolls.
I've never actually fought one in a 5e campaign.
Well, maybe after Tarius dies, you'll be playing, and then maybe you will.
But Troll Slayer campaign.
Ooh, Troll Slayer campaign. That sounds fun.
Yeah, I play a dwarf.
Yeah. Who's
half naked the entire campaign.
A barbarian, then.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, he's a wizard. It's weird.
Oh. Well, that's like mage armor. Doesn't matter what you're wearing.
He has his spell book. Oh, this would be cool. What about a wizard whose spell book was their body? They tattooed the spells onto their body.
That would be.
And they could only be written, or they can only be read by them because they're written in a secret code that they created, so that their enemies can't just read the spells off their. That would be cool. I like that character concept. Anyway, but it'd be like. Also, they have memory loss, so like mixed in with the fucking spells are just memento reminders, like, oh, your name's Jeff.
My name's Jeff.
So you guys, after you defeated this ogre, you and the A team, the subgroup of Tarra's Fist, the A team, the A squad.
I wouldn't. Tarius doesn't say that.
Tarius doesn't say it, but the narrator does.
Okay.
Tarius, Alessandro, and Ragni.
Is the narrator Tarra?
Yeah. Hey guys, it's Tarra here, coming in with our next episode of My Fist. I'm
gonna show you the next episode of My Fist.
So she has it when she punches someone. And you guys defeated it quite handily, and by using sort of the sneaking up on it and just laying into it with like 100 attacks, and it was killed before it was able to really do anything. It tried to hit someone, I think, but it missed.
No, I think you narrated that it was going to hit someone, but we had killed it before that, right?
Oh yeah, I think you killed it before it even got to act. Yep, that's rough.
Rough.
So
Tarius has 7 hit points, Marshall.
I think it's rough for the ogre. I'm just empathetic with my monsters.
How dare you? That thing would have killed me if it had the chance. This is much like my revenge-based vegetarianism.
What? Oh, I remember. So, there was. You should have eaten him then. You should have eten the ogre.
I mean, I looked in that mouth. I'm not so sure.
Yeah. They say you are what you eat. Anyway, so there was also a tower after that. You traveled for a few more hours, and you found a tower to stay the night at because you decided there's an ogre here. Maybe there's, Well, I think your reasoning was both. Maybe this place is dangerous, so we want to go to the tower. But maybe we can travel at night a little bit safely because the ogre, this is its territory, and hopefully we're still within the ogre's territory, and any other bad guys are in other parts of the mountains.
For now.
Which I think for now, until they discover he's dead and they move in on his territory.
Yeah.
If that is even a thing. I mean, maybe ogres are very rare here, maybe other dangerous creatures are rare here. Although there's definitely this clearly something there can be. It can't be so safe because they have like watchtowers and patrols. So there's got to be something in these mountains that occasionally comes out like ogres that need to be slain. Or wolves. There's been a lot of talk of wolves.
We took something from the ogre, right? Oh, no, that's right. We were going to take something from the ogre, and then Ragni was like, we don't need proof. A dwarf's word is more important than proof, and so...
yeah, I think that was kind of a flex on Ragni's part. Like, it was kind of him trying to be like, well, you might need proof if you were,
not traveling with the mighty Ragni Grimm.
Yeah.
Ragni Afgrim.
Yeah. So, you guys spent the night with one of Ragni's kin, a member of Clan Grimm, and his... You did! His name is Beely.
Beely, yeah.
Beely. Not spelled Billy,
no.
Spelled Beely with 2 eyes.
I assumed if it was spelled Billy, you would not have been calling him Beely. Is he Ian Beely? That's wait, oh shit, there's that check. Right, you got that joke.
That's funny. But Beely Afgrim gave you his bed. And he is, you were told he's the second cousin twice removed of Ragni. And he's quite a young dwarf. But even in his young age, he's older than you.
But he looks younger than me, right? Like
he looks younger than you, yeah. He looks, I think I described him, he looks like he's 19, around there. Like if he was a human, he would be a young adult. Not, definitely, although in medieval society, maybe 19 is a little older than
family by now.
Yeah, obviously we consider 19 to be younger than they would, but it's still obviously a young age physically. Yeah. You look very young at 19 no matter what age it is. So you you wake up as Alessandro shakes you awake. He always has to do it very hard, because otherwise you will doze back into your eternal slumber.
But not too hard, otherwise I'll break.
Not too hard, because he could break your bones, yeah. You're made of glass. And you can, as soon as you open your eyes and wake up, you smell the pleasant smell of bacon crackling. Well, you hear bacon crackling, and you smell the bacon. And you can see that there is... that Beely is cooking these huge, thick strips of bacon that you don't even know if they came from a pig, because you've never seen bacon this big before. And he's, or if they came from a pig, it came from a very big pig. And he's frying these up, and you can also see that he's cooking some eggs. And he has tasked Kristen to help him. Kristen is buttering some bread. And the others are sort of sitting, relaxing, starting to get their clothes on, waking up. Alessandro says, "Are you feeling well, sir?"
As well as I ever have, Alessandro. But that bacon smells delicious.
Yeah, so Beely begins to serve bacon out, and he says, "This was cut from a large wild boar. We occasionally go on hunting trips down in the valleys." The valleys!
Oh, you're going down there. Have you seen... when you went down there, do you do any hunting in Cairo, Matt?
We went to Cairo. Went to the corner shop. Is there... What's the name of that quarter shop in Cairo? The place you used to shop at?
You mean the chip shop called Wendell's?
That's it, Wendell's. I was trying to think of the place because you said you would shop there, and it's in the video.
Yeah, it's a chip shop. It's a restaurant. Well, restaurant. It's like a takeaway place.
Oh, okay. Okay, never mind. I thought it was like a corner. I thought it was like kind of like
There is a corner shop in the video, but it's not in Cairo. It's
oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that's weird though. That's not authentic. You should complain. Also, this isn't Cairo.
The fact that if you'd asked me what the name of that shop is, I don't know what it's called, because to us it was called The Shop.
That's fair. It probably was called The Shop. Like, that's probably its title.
I think there was something above it, but we never read it. But
never looked up.
No, if you said, "I'm off to the shop," you know where you were off.
Yep.
Yep.
That's definitely, yeah, that's not something in the terminology I'm used to. The Shop. If you said that here, no one would know what the fuck you're talking about. I would be like, even if there was a shop really close by, I don't think anyone would assume that's what you're talking about. Anyway.
It was, I think it was because if you were talking about like a franchise, you'd specifically say the franchise, right? So like,
yeah,
the only other shop that was nearby was Tesco's. So you'd say, "I'm going to Tesco's," or "I'm going."
Yeah.
Like that shop was like the only like small shop in the region. I think all of South Wales actually. No,
the entire half of the country.
There's about 1.5 million people who visited that corner shop, as far as I know.
It was like a fucking giant stadium. Thousands would come in each day.
Yeah, no, the shop was really small, but the queue backed up all the way to Barry Island, as far as I knew.
Anyway, that's why Straight Out of Cairo was such a popular video, because everyone came for the shop and they watched the video.
It would play on the screens as they were waiting in the queue. Anyway, the Valley Boar bacon. How delicious is it?
You begin to chew on this delicious, thick cut boar bacon, and it is quite good. It is. I think the thing that hits you are a sort of combination of flavors you are not experienced with. It's kind of savory, smoky, and bitter, and this kind of it's kind of a wash with spices that you have never had before. And Beely says, "Those are the spices of our kinsmen. We import them once a year. Costs a pretty penny, but it's worth it."
Very nice.
Yeah, you like it a lot. The eggs are well cooked, not as good as the bacon, but pretty decent. And the bread is old. Probably the bread's the worst part. It definitely wasn't freshly baked. You think he probably has a few loaves that got sent in at some point, and he's slowly working through them. But it's still good. It's not rotten.
Good. Yeah. I mean, Tarius, is much more, as we've discussed before, is much more pays attention to the heartiness of a meal than its actual taste. It's caloric content, yeah,
you know.
Indeed. Or
that makes sense.
Protein, I think, would definitely be on Tarius's mind a lot.
He needs it constantly, or else his muscles will liquefy.
Yep, and he needs calcium, otherwise the bones go. So he says to Beely, "Do you have any milk?"
He says, "Well, now that you say it, I do. It's rather sad, but it's the last jar." And he goes to the stone kind of cellar cabinet that's low down, and sort of opens it up, and you can tell it's cooler in there than the rest of the place. And he pulls out a jar of milk, and he says, "This came from a mountain goat that I kept as a pet for, the entire time I was here, but it Well, it became sick about 2 weeks ago. Passed away, unfortunately. This is the last of its milk, but I'd love for you to try it.
I drink it all.
It's just dribbling down your fucking chin. It's like an absolute monster. He says, "You know, sir, I believe that you would do well in the mead halls of my kinsman."
I have spent many times in the mead halls myself, though I do not drink for pleasure. I drink for sustenance. I need the calcium. Well, I guess I wouldn't know what calcium is. the milk.
I need the bone juice.
I need the bone juice. The milk keeps me strong.
Yeah.
I often find myself weaker in weeks where I have not consumed it.
Oh my god.
Down the rest of it.
Nice.
Very nice. Nicer than the cows of my homestead. You should be proud of your past friend.
Oh.
Not sure if that's
what the fuck was this?
I'm not sure if that's a weird thing to say. It sounded like a weird thing to say. So,
No, I mean, he took it as a compliment. Was it true? Is it true that the cow's milk on your farm is not as good as this?
I would
or were
say
you just being overly friendly?
That's probably true, but Tarius doesn't really. You wouldn't trust Tarius as a milk critic, but he probably likes this more. Just because it's more, but probably because Tarius just likes new things more, exotic things. You know what I mean? New is always better, that kind of stuff. So he's just used to the milk from cows. So this is probably
plus, the drink you have when you're thirstiest is the best drink. And on your farmstead, you're probably not, because you're not walking around all day. You're probably not as exhausted as you are now. Just waking up from a long day of traveling.
True.
But yeah, so it's you have a great meal with your company. Beely talks a little bit about just, I don't know, milk and various animal products as you guys have your meal. And at the end he says, "Well, I'll be guessing you'll be going on to Clan Grimm now then, huh?"
Aye. And then over to the White Vale. Well, I think some people call it the White Whale.
No one's ever called it that.
Oh, must have been a dream. I'm sorry.
You must have had some sort of strange conversation with a demigod. Demigoddess, of course.
Oh, of course.
Anyway. I named her Tarra. Anyway. It's her fist, Anyway. He says, this is the only outpost west of Clan Grimm, so the next stopover will be the clan itself. So I hope you, it shouldn't be too long. I would say if you hoof it and you don't take too many rests and breaks, you can make it to Clan Grimm in, I would bet 6 hours.
Okay. Could you advise us on the fastest and safest way to travel from here to there?
Oh, well, I always just walk the trail.
And we can walk the trail and get there within 6 hours? Without no break?
Well, certainly. Certainly. If you didn't walk the trail, well, then I don't know how long it would take. You'd have to find some sort of mountain back path. To be fair, a few of my kinsmen do like going hiking in the mountains. I'm not one of them, though. If one of them was here, maybe they could offer you some more detailed offerings on different paths. And one thing that he is implying there is, if you're interested in taking a much more off-the-beaten-path trail to Whitevale, there will be people at Clan Grimm who could give you that kind of advice. But Beely is just not one of them.
Alright, then. I mean, that sounds reasonable to me. I can't imagine it's going to be too dangerous to travel the trail, since this is the only trail. So...
No, everything has to travel the trail, including zombies.
That is true.
So,
but I imagine it's well patrolled, and hopefully it's not too dangerous.
Ideally, the closer you get to Clan Grimm,
yes,
the safer it is, right? I would hope.
I guess it would be safest now because there's a watchtower, and then safest closest to Clan Grimm, and then there's like an intermediary period where the zombies travel the road.
Yeah.
So
the rough part,
the
witching part. You got to run through that part. It's at some point you just start sprinting and you don't know why. And Ragni's just like, we're in the rough part. You gotta keep running, boy. Anyway,
before we head out, I want Mosh to fetch my sword.
Okay.
Hey!
Is fetch something you've done with him so far?
No, this would have been a DCA.
Well, I'm gonna say because you got a crit, you can decrease it by 2 steps instead of 1.
Does it start at 15 or 13?
It starts at 15 if you haven't done it before.
Okay. We've done a lot with move then. It's already down to 12.
Yeah, you've succeeded quite a few times with move now.
Okay, so it's down to 13 for fetch. Nice. So he fetches both my swords, I assume. I'm like, oh, that was very easy.
Yeah. When you say fetch, he just you think he just gets it. It's like you were speaking dog for a moment. He just immediately runs over, grabs it.
And then I will walk over and sigh and then pick up the bow and put it on my back.
Just you give the bow to your dog as a chew toy. Just let him fucking chew on it, slobber on it.
The dog's like, no, that's a valuable artifact, and I'm like, oh, fine. Put it on my back.
He's like, boss, it tastes magical. I don't think I should be biting it. So I wonder if you can get like radiation poisoning from chewing on a magical artifact. Just like slowly withers your skull. So you have your gear ready. You've gotten a full stomach. Beely says, well, as I said, I hope to meet you again someday. But if I don't, then, that's no problem. It was good meeting all of you. Perhaps one day I can come to Moordrake and visit my cousin here.
We'd be happy to have you, Bailey.
He shakes your hand, shakes the hands of your comrades, unless you refuse to shake his hand, and then he waves you off, unless you have any questions or need anything from him before you go.
I don't think so. I think if I mean, I asked him if this was like safe and this was the best way to go, and he said yeah. So I guess that would be my only question. So I guess we'll just set off on the trail.
You're fine with abominable yetis, aren't you? Like,
oh yeah, we'll be fine.
You don't have a problem with them, do you? White dragons?
Don't yetis have regeneration as well? I think they do.
There's a high in the mountains when it gets snowy. There's a lord known as Scartharax.
Scartharax,
the ice
lord of the ice roaches.
I've been told that unless you have a whole party of 5th level fighters, you have no chance.
Does he actually mention anything about yetis or white dragons?
No, I'm fucking with you. No, you're fine.
Tarius wouldn't want to ask about dragons, but Putty is curious. Alright, so we'll head on the trail.
Why wouldn't Tarius want to ask?
Probably
you mean he wouldn't think to, or he literally wouldn't?
Wouldn't think to.
Oh, okay. I was like, is there like a dragon subplot? He's like, I hate talking about dragons. They murdered half my family. Okay.
I mean, Tarius would. If they did murder half his family, that wouldn't make Tarius hateful of dragons. That's half of Tarius' job done for him. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Though if they did knock off his sister and his father, then you know.
Fucking yikes. Fucking yikes. Okay. I see that Tarius' coup will be a bloody one then.
No, he will give them the choice.
Give you the choice. So
that's why he has 2 swords, Marshall. Gives one
nice.
of them to the
You begin to walk down the stone steps and find yourself back in the path between the 2 mountains, and begin to walk it again. What do you do as you walk the path? Do you take a certain stance? Do you try to hide? What do you do?
Where's me dog? Me dog isn't on the map anymore. I'll drag him in.
Oh, he's probably just. I don't think he was. I don't know if he was he ever on this map. He might have been. I don't know.
I believe. I have faith that he was once on this great map.
He's a great man, and he was on this map.
How wide?
We call that the wide step.
How wide is the path? In feet.
Probably about 15 feet wide. You could theoretically extend over it, but then you'd be walking on kind of hard stone and less gravel. Nice. The cross formation.
I'm trying to think I'm currently thinking about if I would do anything in particular. I keep my eyes open. Make sure I'm perceptive. Don't
So you're searching. Mm-hmm. Actively searching, trying not to get too distracted. Do you give any commands or advice? Directives to your companions.
I nod to
while you're
Alessandro,
marching.
which he recognizes to be watch my back.
Okay.
I let the others do whatever they want. I'll say to Ragni and Ralton not to do anything stupid. But Kristen can literally do whatever she wants. She wants to like do some. If she wants to look over some spreadsheets or something while we're walking, that's fine.
Cool. Yeah. You just hear her occasionally saying, "Well, we're gonna have to move those into the account at that bank, and we're gonna have to liquidate our assets there." But the loan sharks they sent me another letter. But you do occasionally hear good news. Like you'll hear her say, "Well, with the money we made from that, I think we'll be able to pay that account off." And she'll check something off. So from some of the money you've brought in so far in the adventure, you can see it's already paying off some of these debts, bringing some good fortune to the company.
Good.
Good. But yeah.
That definitely makes Tarius happy.
Nice. And I love the idea Kristen's still doing fucking tax work as she's still doing accounting as she's walking miles, hundreds of miles from her town, and she's just still writing down taxes and shit. We gotta pay this person. Anyway,
I think she's magical. That she set up some sort of magical mailing system where she's getting new letters as we go.
That would be amazing. She should get one of those. That would be great.
It would be.
So you guys, two of you are on the lookout. The others are trying not to do anything stupid. Kristen is doing finances. And your loyal dog, Mosh, is walking along, and you can tell that it's oh shit, I just fucked with him. You can tell he's in a good mood. Whenever I hear Mosh, I think of Mosh Raw Johnson from Voyager.
Nice. I'm glad.
Nice.
I think there's a character in another franchise called Mosh, but I can't remember because I think I'm thinking of him, but I don't, or them, but I don't know who I'm thinking of.
Why don't you roll me a perception check for both you and Alessandro, since you're both actively searching, just so I have it?
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything that would give us disadvantage on this? Like if we are high in the mountains with a fog or anything like that? Okay.
Nope. Everything's fine.
16 from me. And a 15 from Alessandro.
Okay, great. Decent checks. Both are, definitely subpar for Alessandro. We expect better of him,
but better than our passives. Actually, it's not better than Alessandro's passive, but it's better than my passive.
Yeah, Alessandro. Yeah, it's one less than Alessandro's passive. So Alessandro and you are both searching, looking to see if you can see things, and nothing really troubles you for a couple hours. You will occasionally see these mountain, these shrikes and these various mountain birds that come up here for foraging or something, or maybe they nest here. But that's most of the life you see. The plant and the foliage has really thinned out at this point. You'll occasionally see a shrub, but or you might see a clover patch occasionally, but no trees grow at this part of the mountain. And it's gotten colder and colder. At this point, it feels like it's in a totally different season. You feel like you're in late fall or something, and feels much more chilling than even you expected, or maybe you did. Actually, you were warned that it would be cold, so maybe you were expecting this. Ragni, Ragni's trying his best not to do anything stupid. When Alessandro and you both notice something. This is probably about 3 hours into the journey. You notice a humanoid figure about 200 feet away, not hiding, so that's why you're able to see him from really far away. And he appears to be sitting on a rock, and he appears to be balancing on it very precariously with his eyes closed.
So it's a humanoid figure. Can we see any other descriptors, like skin color, hair, maybe gender?
From this distance, you think it is a man, but you're not sure. You'd have to get a little closer.
Alright. Do they have any kind of hair, any other descriptors? Because man's pretty detailed, I guess. We'd probably find other things first.
You think he's brown-haired and fair-skinned, white-skinned.
So I think from these descriptors, is it fair to assume that he looks like a human?
Yeah, or an elf,
Or an elf, okay. From this far
you
away.
can't see his ears or those sorts of qualities.
Yeah. 200 feet away. Do I think he knows? Well, he's got his eyes closed. I'm not going to ask that question. I'm going to assume that I don't think he's seen us. Of course, yeah. Out of character, you could have some other sort of senses, but Tarius wouldn't. Yeah, I think I'm going to let everybody know that there is a strange man 200 feet up the road. But I see no reason to be concerned. Keep your wits about you and your weapons close. Let's hope that this doesn't turn into a detour. We were warned against taking those. Keep walking.
Nice. You walk, and eventually you get within 20 feet of him, 50 feet of him. You can tell that it is definitely a human, and that he is appears to be holding a sort of balancing a staff in his hands with his eyes closed, as he sort of, with one leg in a sort of almost crane or peacock position, he's sort of balanced on this rock very precariously. You think you couldn't do this.
What does the staff look like? I'm pretty dexterous, Marshall. What does the staff look like?
What's your acrobatics?
Acrobatics? Yeah, it's a dex fight. Hold on. I think my acrobatics is 6, but let me just check. Yeah, it's 6.
Okay, you might be able to do it.
Pretty dexterous, but this is still pretty impressive. But what does the staff look like?
It's entirely made out of wood. Mm-hmm. The middle of it is thinned, and then both ends thicken into these big kind of pommels. It looks like a dark wood. And it appears to have beads wrapped around the staff that then extend to his arm and wrap around his arm.
I say in a pretty low voice, but not a whisper. Well met, traveler.
Without opening his eyes, he says, "Well met indeed. It is a fine morning."
Well, you have a wonderful day, and we will be on our way.
He says nothing.
I nodded him, even though his eyes are closed. I assure everybody forward.
Okay. If you look back, he's still sitting in the same position he was before on that rock.
Okay. I'm trying to think, because Tarius likes interesting people, he also wants to recruit interesting people to the fest. He also doesn't want to fuck with the guy who's just sitting up here in the mountains. So, I mean, I think we'll just carry on. Tarius is also very concerned with getting to Clan Grimm tonight. And he's been told that there's a little bit of a window on that. So I think we're gonna keep going.
Bring him to Clan Grimm. Be like, come with us.
Well,
We're gonna have a great time.
Look, I'm sure this guy knows. Actually, that's a good question. If you're up here in the mountains, how likely is it that you know that Clan Grimm's up here?
Very likely.
Okay.
It's probably the most dominant feature of the mountains.
Yeah.
If you'd like,
Sure.
you could roll a history check to see if you know of anything else in the mountains of note.
Any suggestions for routes in which I would know that? Stories in a mead hall, Ragni?
The mountains are nearby, so you could have just heard about local. I'll ask this: is anyone in your family particularly religious that you grew up with?
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, I think so. I think there's probably
then
a portion of. Also, is Tarra like worshipped religiously?
Yeah, by some people.
I mean, I'm named after Tarra, right? So, or at least my name comes from Tarra. So.
Yeah. So in that case, you can roll. I'll let you roll a religion check if you prefer it.
They're equal, but it sounds like religion would be a different bent, and that sounds fun. So, can I roll both? Actually, can I roll history as well? See if it.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. 7 and 10. 7 on the religion, 10 on the history.
On religion, you think that there is religion in the mountains.
Oh yay!
This isn't a godless land.
I look over it and I go, Tarra smiles on these mountains.
But in terms of the history check, you think that you may have heard about a temple or monastery somewhere in the mountains where people meditate and study, and you think maybe he could have come from one of them.
I see. I'll go directly and say, do you think that man was from... Have you heard of a temple up here?
Ragni scratches his beard and says, well, I do believe that there is a temple to some sort of god, I'm not sure which, to the south of here. Near where the White River begins in the mountains. I've never been there myself, but a few of my kinsmen have traded with them before. I think they'll make a trip every once in a while.
What do they trade from the monastery? From the temple? Out of curiosity.
Usually money.
Oh.
The monastery receives donations from faithful. I believe the monastery might also perform certain religious services for money. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. Religious types always confuse me. Some of them seem to not have a problem with taking a few odd gold off the table, and others seem to be afraid of the stuff.
Interesting. Well, I'm glad to know at the very least that was not a apparition of my mind.
You know that, for example, Cuthred the Grey, who's really the most religious person in your group, is he's not known as a man of means or greed or anything like that. So in your experience, religious people have tended to, at least he has tended to be very frugal, but it's hard to say. So he's you figured that out. There's a temple somewhere. He says, I didn't know that they, whoever they were, I didn't know that they came this far north to the pass. I doubt they'd go much farther north than this. It's fairly rough terrain up there. And, well, there's plenty of things not to want to go up there for.
You'll often find that in many groups there are people that do not conform to the norms. You would not expect a dwarf of Clan Grimm to be a member of Tarra's Fist in Moordrake, for example. But there is one.
Well, if they don't expect that, then they're uneducated filth.
Yes. I'll keep walking.
So, you found that guy. After that, you continue to march on. I'm guessing the same old.
I would imagine.
And
I mean, it's up to you whether you want to do this, but I would imagine, like, I would have been distracted for like 10 or 20 minutes after that man, or during the encounter with the man, and afterwards, where I was talking with Ragni. I don't think Alessandro would have been distracted, but I would have been. And then after that break in concentration, I would have like started to look around again. I don't know whether you want to do a different perception check for that, but I definitely for those.
Yeah, why don't you roll another perception check? Aha!
Well,
An improvement.
Improvement, yeah. After that distraction, I'm like, shit, I should have been paying attention, and I follow Alessandro's lead.
Yep. Because of you're brought back to it, you actually are better than you were before. It was a nice break from you were straining your eyes, staring.
My eyes do get very strained very easily. I have to blink a lot as Tarius.
Yep.
Yeah.
You continue to march along the path, and then you're ambushed by 30 cave bears. No, you continue to march along the path, and you, eventually, 3 hours later, see what appears to be a well-built structure in the side of one of the mountain faces where the path sort of goes right through. At this point, the sun is starting to get lower and lower in the sky, but it's not night yet. The structure essentially looks like this massive wall of carved stone that juts out of the mountain, kind of almost like this boxy shape. But there's these intricate geometric patterns carved onto it on the corners, on the walls, on the sides, and you can see as you get closer runes, dwarvish runes, hundreds and hundreds of them carved into this thing. And as you get even closer, you notice that there are carvings of depictions of various dwarves and places and animals and things like that, also carved into this. Very fine craftsmanship and artistry. But the strange thing to you is that this appears just to be a large stone block. It's just a big wall of rock. You don't see a door or a handle or anything as you approach it.
Okay. Well, that's a good thing Ragni's up front.
Yeah, Ragni is just like, well, they took out the door. We gotta keep going, boys.
That seems like inefficient design advancement. I never looked at the building and thought this would be more accessible without the door.
Well, they probably wanted to keep me out.
Anyway. That I understand, me old friend.
No, but Ragni walks up to the wall. And he takes out his pipe, his large bronze pipe that he smokes out of all the time. And he begins to tap on various parts of the wall where you can tell he's trying to listen for something. And then you hear a where it's kind of this hollow, sort of thin noise where it doesn't resonate through the stone as much. And he begins to feel that part of the stonework until he sees something that you, from where you're standing, don't see anything. And he presses on it with his hand, and this block goes into the wall. And this seamless part of the wall that seemed like it was just pure rock, soldered into the other rock, it didn't look separate from it at all, falls away as if it was never there to begin with. It doesn't disappear, but it very quickly descends into the ground, and you can hear this shaking of the earth a little bit under just a small quaking under your feet, and this dust is kicked up, and you can smell immediately this kind of it's a strange smell. It's a mix of this sort of smell of being underground, this kind of musty smell mixed with food and spices and alcohol, and mixed with maybe a little bit of body odor, because you got a bunch of dwarves in a big underground thing. But it's definitely unique. It's not wholly unpleasant. The body odor is mixed in with all the other things, so it doesn't smell gross in any way. But you're definitely aware that there's definitely some biological element to the smell. And And as it fully opens, Ragni steps aside and says, "Welcome to the home of my kinsman, of my father, and his father before him, Clan Grimm."
It is an honor to be here. But we have work to do. Let's get going.
Of course. Okay. And he starts walking away from the door. No, I'm just kidding. Why'd you have me open it? No, anyway, he begins to.
Through the door.
he enters through the door, and leads you in, and he immediately realizes that the torches are not lit, because he and his kinsman can see through this hallway.
Yeah.
That they keep dark on purpose for that reason. That it's the entry hallway, and they don't want. If an intruder can figure out how to get in, they don't want them to have the advantage of light. Yeah. So they keep it dark. But he realizes, oh wait, you guys can't see. So he immediately takes out striking stones. Alessandro can as well. He immediately takes out striking stones and begins to light a torch, which he then uses to light several others. And immediately this hall that was once dark is now filled with light, and you can see that it goes at a slight slant, which is actually in previous editions only a dwarf could detect this slant. It's a slanting passage, and it goes down very slowly, slopes into this darkness. And Ragni, as he walks with a torch, continues to light torches along the way. And you walk for probably about 2-3 minutes down this passage until you finally reach what appears to be 2 actual doors. These are made of wood, and he opens them both, and you enter this big grand hall held up by these pillars. The hall is probably about 200 feet high, and it goes back easily 150 feet to the back wall. But I think the most weirdest thing about you is it's taller than it is long, which is unusual for buildings in the human world. Buildings in the human world are never taller than they are wide.
I get a sense, looking at it, that it is not built tall for any particular purpose, but merely because they could.
That's an interesting question. Well, you definitely get the idea that there's a lot of carvings on the walls, and they go up into the darkness, and you kind of see this almost ominous presence, because the fire doesn't reach all the way up there. So the carvings sort of taper off into darkness as if they are fading away. And you can't understand the carvings that well. You don't know enough about Dwarvish lore, and you can't read Dwarvish. So it's kind of like looking at a math equation for you, but you can tell that there's something there. Actually, you might speak Dwarvish. I just assumed. Do you know? Okay.
I remember.
Okay. I didn't think you did.
I wanted to check, but then I remembered in this campaign I specifically wanted to speak few languages, so I speak 2. It's like them both.
Gotcha.
Orisian. Yeah.
Gotcha. What's the other one you speak?
It's just High and Low Orisian.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because you bring out High Orisian whenever you... Yeah, I like that. Anyway, you start speaking High Orisian with the dwarves. They're all like, what you speak bloody common?
Do you speak bloody common? Oh, God, that reminds me of something. I got to wheel out one of your favorite lines this week in one of my D&D campaigns. One of my NPCs said, "Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys." my PCs wandered into a kitchen where a bunch of goblins hit them with kitchen utensils as weapons, and there's this big fat goblin chef who pulls out a secret short bow from a hidden compartment and says, "Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys." And then starts shooting at them.
That's great. Oh, that's such a good line. That's perfect usage of the line. Awesome. Awesome.
I approve of your approval.
So yeah, it's but anyway, yeah, I think you definitely get the sense that you don't know what the purpose would be if there's one. There's no staircase that leads up there.
Oh.
There's no chandeliers up there. So you're not sure why they built this hall so fucking high.
Yeah, and am I also aware that like Dwarven Dark Vision has like a range? Or would Tarra is not? I guess I have a lot of Dark Vision friends.
Yeah, I think you would be aware of the fact that when Ragni guards the camp, it doesn't seem like he is completely in his element in the sense that he can see everything. He's always like, okay, I'll tell you if I see something. I think you would probably pick up the fact that he at a certain point it is darkness for him. I think for him though, I like to think that with dark vision, it's less that they can't see anything. It's more that the farther out past the dark vision, it becomes fuzzy almost. It becomes blurry or something to that effect, where they can't make it out at all.
Like we as humans can see a certain distance in the dark, so I guess for them, once their dark vision is over, it's where our normal vision would begin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, it's kind of fuzzy and strange, and they can't make anything out. But yeah, so so you kind of get that sense that I mean, it's not like they can see super far with their dark vision. You think definitely their dark vision doesn't reach to the top of this. You know, they're not deep gnomes. Who I think have 120 feet of dark vision.
All
which
of
is...
the underground creatures, you picked deep gnomes.
Deep gnomes. Deep gnomes are great.
Not Drow, not Dwargar, deep gnomes.
Deep gnomes are the good guys.
Fair enough. Hey, are you saying all Drows are bad guys? How dare you?
Yes, I am saying.
How dare you?
Slaver scum. Anyway, but yeah, so. I think you picked up on something there. Yeah, definitely this room was built with the idea of grandeur, but it also has this weird quiet grandeur compared to, like, I mean, you understand a little bit about how humans like to build up grandeur. It's all golden and marble. It's white and gold and silver and beautiful things. None of that is here. Nothing shiny is here.
I think
there's this kind of
a lot of respect for that too, because like, these dwarves dig a shit ton of gold. If they wanted to, they could deck display on gold. But what they do is they show they're really good at building shit. Because this is impressive. Like, this takes work.
Yeah, you have no idea how it's held up. You might even be a bit worried that you're in a dangerous, like, you know, this is like someone who's never seen a bridge before crossing one. They're like, is it gonna hold me? But it seems fine. There's no rumbles. There's nothing, and there's a lot of people in the room. That it's no longer dark here. There's big roaring braziers in the corner. There's a huge fireplace, both on the right side of the room and the left side of the room. And then in the center, there's a big fire pit with a huge boar roasting over it. And you see this giant dwarvish woman. She looks like just a brick house who is just slowly bastering this boar with various oils and spices.
Is she an absolute unit?
She is an absolute unit. Yeah, absolutely. But it would make a beautiful bride for Tarius. A beautiful bride. And you also see lots of dwarves walking about. Some of them there's a few long tables where they're sitting and they appear to be drinking. You get the feeling that work time is starting to come to an end. It's starting to become more playtime, relaxation time. You can see a few people coming out of these hallways that you see in the distance. You don't know where they go, obviously. And then at the far back of the room, you do see this sort of fancier table. Not fancier in the sense that it's just fancier in the sense that it looks like it is bigger and that it's shaped in this way that shows you that it's important. It's got these great carvings on it, and sitting around it are dwarves that look more well dressed. They look sort of like Ragni, because Ragni, he doesn't dress super fancy, but he has certain golden jewelry he wears and certain things he wears to show that he is a dwarf from a fairly well-to-do clan. And at least by human standards, any dwarvish clan that is pulling things out of the ground is going to be obscenely wealthy compared to what they're used to, right? This might not be a rich clan compared to other dwarves, but that's not necessarily something you would really have a perspective on. And yeah, so you see sitting behind this table are a bunch of really old-looking dwarves. One of them looks ancient. He looks like a bag of dust. A bear that you could blow on him and he would just turn into the wind.
So much like Tarius, then.
Yeah, you'll get along with him. You think when he moves, he looks very handsome, but he's standing still right now.
Majestic dwarf.
Majestic. Oh, what a majestic. Hello, sir. He's like, oh, hello to you. So Ragni says, well, this is the grand hall. This is where we have, most of our meals and where we speak to each other. Where we have merriment, play games, generally have a good night's drink off. Towards there is the table of my my branch of the family, my father and his father and my brother, and so on and so forth. And the right passageway, the eastern corridor there, leads to the iron mines, where we pull up most of the ore, and the western passageway leads to where we our forges and our where we sleep, and various other important rooms and facilities like that. But the eastern side is pretty much almost entirely mining. At least the last time I was here. I doubt they've changed much. It takes a damned long time to change something in a place like this.
I thought you said they removed the doors. Okay. I said to him, I want to talk to someone about the ogre, and I want to get advice about reaching Whitevale in the safest and quickest manner possible. How do you advise we continue? Also, a question real quick before Ragni answers. Is White Peak the barony? The barony, right? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. White Peak is the barony, and Norfold is the duchy, is the larger duchy. Norfold is equivalent to Westlock in its sort of hierarchy, whereas Moorland is equivalent to White Peak.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, so I asked Ragni, my goals here are to get some advice on traveling to Whitevale, and to speak to someone about the ogre. And I guess I will say to him, unless this person is different, just in case this person is different, that we should notify them of the goblins and make sure everything is okay and that they're looking into it. But I suspect that that'll be the same person we talked to about the ogre.
Okay, yeah. So ogre, goblins, path to Whitevale.
Yeah.
He says, "Aye, well, there's a few people we could speak to about those topics. Certainly, speaking about the ogre and the goblins, I would think the best person to speak to would be my father. He, I think, as of late, has taken over many of the duties of my grandfather, and who would probably be the best person to speak to about remiserations for that sort of thing, informing him of the news. In terms of the path out to White Peak or Whitevale, I would think. Well, we could also speak to. Well, I would say we could speak to my brother about that. He is supposed to be in charge of the defenses of the clan, and he would know certain things about what's going on the trail. But you could also speak with Grunhilda. She's an old ranger that's been with the clan for years. She knows plenty about these mountains.
Alright. I'd like to start with Ragni's dad then.
Cool.
Ragni's dad.
So Ragni walks you up. Before walking up, Ragni grabs one of his kinsmen, and the kinsmen go, "Oh, Ragni!" And he goes, not enough time for that right now, boy. There'll be time to drink once the boss has gone to sleep. But I need you to go."
Oh, is that the dad?
Yeah, that's you. He says, "I need you to go back to the entrance to the entrance to the clan and speak the word. You need to close the door up." And he says, "Oh, of course." And he runs back.
And don't forget about the torches.
Oh, of course. Actually, he said, you didn't even understand what Ragni just said. He said that in Dwarvish.
Okay, sure.
He would have said that in Dwarvish, but the audience knows what he said. And then he...
Is this a TV show? Or is this a crossover episode right
now? He walks with you over, and he stops for a moment and says, "It's up to you. Would you like the rest of our party to join the conversation, or?"
First of all, I'll ask, does your father speak Erisio?
Oh, yes. Yes, he's well versed in Lower Izian. He even speaks a bit of your family's tongue, that fancy stuff. Not much, not as much as you, I don't think. Grandfather used to speak Lower Risian quite well, but I think as of late he's let his proficiency in the language slip. And anyway, but my father definitely speaks it quite well. We can carry on the entire conversation in common if that's what obviously that's what you'd like.
I look to the rest of the group and I say, we will be here this evening. For this I am almost certain. So whatever you wish to get up to is none of my concern. If you
just set them loose.
If you wish to begin relaxation now, we probably have long nights and journeys and probably battles ahead of us. So I encourage you to do whatever will make you comfortable for what is coming up. If you wish to join us, you can. If you wish to go off and make preparations, you can. If you wish to join the merriment, I encourage it. We will meet up tomorrow.
Excellent. Mosh goes over and starts drinking beer. No, I'm just... that's bad for dogs. Sir Renault says, well, I believe that is perhaps... I mean, I do not think you need me in this conversation. I think I see a gentleman here who looks more akin to my stripes. Good evening, sir. I shall speak to you later. And Sir Renault walks over to a guy sitting at... a dwarf sitting at the table who's just drinking a ton of ale. He just sits down with him and just pats him on the back and starts talking to him. And you can tell the dwarf doesn't speak common. Because when he speaks to him, the dwarf is like... And then Sir Renault just starts pointing at the ale, and the dwarf's like, just hands him some, and they start drinking together. Kristen says, Ragnar, I've heard that dwarves have very good scales and measures. Is that true? Oh, yes, very good. Fine scales, finest you can find. Dwarves are, we care about the precise nature of such measurements. Would you mind if I take a look at them for my studies, if you will? Well, very well. It'd be in the western corridor. Hey, you, Mocho! And he just yells at a dwarf. And he speaks a bunch of dwarvish to him and then points at Kristen. He'll lead you down to where we weigh the iron. There's plenty of scales there. And Kristen goes off. Alessandro says to you, I think I will stay with you. I find listening to the head of a clan, a dwarvish clan, to be a unique and enlightening experience.
Okay. All good with me.
Okay. So Ragni, immediately the dwarf father's like, you brought a fucking elf? No, I'm just kidding. No, Ragni leads the two of you over. I give Alessandro a hat and I'm like, just cover the ears. Cover the ears. No, make yourself look like a... If you cover the ears, maybe you can pass yourself off as a Triton.
No, I don't have a hat, sadly.
Oh, that's too bad.
I feel like Tarra should get a beret at some point. I feel like that fits Tarra's.
Beret would be good. I like it. A beret or maybe a bowler hat, something along those lines.
Yeah.
So you walk up to the head table at the back, and the Ragni starts off by walking up to the table and says stuff in Dwarvish that the rest of you... I don't think Alessandro speaks Dwarvish. The rest of you don't understand, but he first starts by speaking to his grandfather, and you can see he kneels and takes his grandfather's hand. You can tell it's some sort of genuflection. He pats it like this, and then squeezes it and lets go of it. And he stands up and shakes his father's hand, and then he goes to the end of the table and hugs his brother and gives him a conk on the forehead. And the two of them literally smack their heads together like this. And then Ragni walks back over.
Science.
Ragni walks back over and it says a few more words to his father. And his father then says,
I'm actually criticizing that image of two people just full fucking I don't like it. There you go.
Yeah, it's rough. I think you know by now that dwarves just have a different skull.
Yeah.
Like something's different about their skull. Very thick. Thick.
Their neck must be pretty strong as well. Otherwise, just
oh yeah, they kind of have short necks. There's not a lot of neck there. You know, it's kind of all squished. So good impression. Ragni. Not Ragni. Ragni's father turns to you and says, "Well, it is good. It is good to be meeting an associate." I have to differentiate his voice somehow. An associate of my sons. I have heard that you are his superior officer. Is that correct? A lieutenant of Tarra's Fist.
That is correct. I am a lieutenant of Tarra's Fist. My name is Tarius Gladwin Jr.
He nods and extends his hand to shake it with you, and
I shake his hand.
He says,
"Very meek,
well,
I bet he shakes very strongly."
Oh yeah, he almost crushes your hand. It's like you do everything you can to pretend like it didn't hurt. And he says, "Well, I am Argor of Grimm, father of Ragni, son of Arnor."
Okay, write that down. Arnor.
So his name is Argor, and then the grandfather is Arnor.
Got it. Ragni's. Arnor was the grandfather, right?
Yep.
Okay, got it. All right. I'm gonna. I know it's probably there isn't an apostrophe in there, but I'm gonna do it because otherwise, I wouldn't be able to read it. So.
Wait, where do you think there's not an apostrophe?
After the R for Arnor. Argor's fine for my eyes, but Arnor looks...
because it looks like an M.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, yeah. So he, especially with this font. Ugh.
Yeah.
Anyway, he says...
Yeah, he introduced himself, and I'll say, we come with some good news and some bad news. Which do the mighty head of the dwarves wish to hear first?
He says, well, I suppose we shall take the bad news first. What is it?
We come on the hunt of a pack of goblins that have taken the young baron from the nearby barony of Moorland. Those goblins, we have reason to believe, came through these mountains, and through discussions with Ragni, I have been told that is something that would concern you.
Indeed. It is chief among my concerns, and hopefully the concern of my eldest son, that this mountain pass is secured so that trade and commerce can flow through it like the water of the mountain. But I will admit, I've heard rumor of this goblin pack, although only one amongst us has warned me of it, and I thought that perhaps she was a bit paranoid. But now that you have confirmed, I believe that Brunhilde was most likely correct all along. He says, so, goblins have captured the young Peter.
I nod.
That is unfortunate to hear. I do not ever meet the child, but I did meet his father on occasion. It has been a long while since I have. But his father was a good man. He seemed respectable enough, and unlike most humans, he seemed not to have some sort of ridiculous sense of self-worth. Humble, I think, is the word. He says, I think actually he would have specifically said human nobles, unlike most human nobles, which obviously doesn't get you off the hook.
No ideas about my station, none. Yep.
He says, well, in any event, it is a pity to hear the boy is in the jaws of goblins. They're foul, nasty creatures. I have never had to deal with them much, but there are stories going long back of forebears of ours having to fight them far from here. I have never heard of a goblin pack being encountered directly in these mountains, but I have heard rumors of them being near Whitefale. I'm guessing that is where they've taken them, by the route you're taking.
That is the lead we have. That is where we will soon be.
I see. Well, it is good to hear that someone is on the case. And Taurus Fist, no doubt. Taurus Fist of all people. The most competent company of mercenaries I have ever encountered. To be fair, I've only encountered a few. But you're certainly the best.
That is good to hear. A glowing recommendation. Now for the good news.
Someone taught you flattery, boy.
I am a human noble. I'm sure you have not. I'm sure you are no stranger to such tactics.
He begins to burst forth with laughter, genuine laughter. He's not upset at that at all. He thinks it's a very good joke. And then he says, "You were about to say something else. Good news."
Good news. We encountered an ogre on the trail here. You'll be happy to know it is dead.
Oh, I see. Good, very good. Occasionally ogres will come down from the north. I am glad that you have slain it. It would be a pity if we had to bury Bailey because he ran into an ogre.
Indeed it will. There didn't happen to be any sort of bounty on ogres in the area.
Oh, well, we do not place bounties traditionally on beasts because we do not expect most people to come to the mountain for those sorts of tasks. But seeing as you are a company of mercenaries and you make your trade on profiting off of these sorts of jobs, and I don't mean that in a rough way, I just mean it plain and simple, then I suppose it would be right and fair to compensate you for the work. So, what say you... Would you like to be paid in money or goods? I can probably pay you in more goods than I can money, but money is obviously easier to use.
What sort of goods did you have in mind?
In the halls of Clan Grimm, iron ingots, of course.
Could you handle the shipping of that ingots back to Moordrake for us?
If you accept payment of it, I would be happy to.
Then that is the payment we shall accept.
Excellent! Does Tarius have a plan for these other than selling them?
Not like a very explicit plan, but, you know, more resources is good. Maybe we can use them. Yeah. Actually, I mean, now that I think about it, if Tarius thought about it a little bit longer, it'd be like, yeah, it was probably best in the hands of the dwarves because he likes their weaponsmithing. But I guess you can use it in building and construction, right? Good doors, hinges.
Yeah, and I don't think you get the sense that he's giving you all their iron.
No,
like,
no, I didn't mean that. I just meant, like, it would be weird if we shipped it back and they were like, we should make these into weapons. Okay, ship it back to the dwarves. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah. We need to make weapons. Let's go.
Back to the
I mean, I guess you could propose free shipment of weapons or something of that nature.
Oh, yeah, for a certain period. Also, before I carry on, is iron used in shipbuilding?
In a very small amount. It's going to be used as brackets and nails. Obviously, if you make it too much about iron, it won't float. But
an iron boat.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, they build modern ships out of steel, but they didn't have the they didn't have the capability to do that at this time. So a metal boat would be completely ridiculous to people of this era. So yeah, I mean, it would be used though as nails, as solderings, as lots of tools like that.
People in like if Tarra's Fist were to require a shipment of iron ingots, do I think that we could sell them reasonably efficiently?
Yeah, I mean, Moordrake has a large marketplace. I don't think it would be impossible to sell them. It might, unless you. So you'd have basically two options. You could either invest time into finding a buyer who will buy them in bulk.
Yeah.
Or you can invest, or you can simply just sell them piecemeal at the marketplace, and that might take you.
Yeah, or maybe ship them to Castle Gormland because it's not far, right?
Well, but even then, I mean, you would have to find someone at the castle who wants to buy them, right? Unless your plan is to like.
Oh, would we not be allowed to sell it in their market?
Oh, you could, but then you'd have to. What I'm saying is, it's unlikely that someone passing by on the marketplace is going to want to buy all of this iron ingots. They're probably just going to be like, "Oh, I'll take a couple."
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah.
You know,
when I mean efficiently, I don't mean like it's gone in a day, but I mean like
okay,
in
yeah,
course of like a quarter.
yeah. So you could sell it in Castle Gormland. You could sell it in Moorland. You could even, if you wanted to, ship it to a really big port city and sell it there, which it might go even faster if you wanted to. Of course, shipping it is going to cost something. You know, it's not completely free to ship, but you got plenty of rank and file who you can press gang into.
Yeah, I think resources is better, and he says it's going to be more payment, more value than the money. So I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, and from his perspective, it's cheaper to pay you more iron than it is more money. You know.
Yeah.
Because he produces iron. So he says, "Well, very good. What say us 2.5 tons of iron?"
I look to Kristen and realize she's not there. And then I look to the only other smart person I know, Alessandro.
Let me check. I think the player's handbook has prices on certain mass goods. I want to see what it says about iron. I believe that iron might be one of the items, and if it is, then maybe. Let's see if I just robbed you. Oh, it does have iron.
I don't think you robbed me. I imagine I got a good deal out of this by the sounds of the amount. Did you say 1.5 tons, did you say?
It would be 500 gold worth of iron.
Yeah, I doubt I would have gotten that in gold.
500 gold worth of iron is 5,000 pounds of iron, which is what he's offering. 2.5 tons.
So, it's worth 500 gold's worth. That's what you're saying.
It's worth 500 gold or 5,000 silver is what the book would, because it's one pound of iron is 1 silver. Yeah. So 5,000 pounds is 500 gold.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I really, really doubt we would have gotten 500 gold coins for that. But maybe this guy's obviously quite a rich guy. But anyway, they're cool. I'm very happy to hear that. Yeah.
So he says, well, very good. It's obviously worth more, but it's a little more of a hassle, which is absolutely why.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he says, I think if you asked for cash, he probably would have paid you like 250 or something. He probably would have paid you about half of the value in gold.
Still a lot for an ogre. I note the generosity. I don't say anything, but I note it.
Yeah,
I think to myself, we should hunt ogres in these mountains.
Let's just start an ogre hunting business. Why are we taking other jobs? Let's just work for the dwarves.
I do think to myself that, that was pretty on the trail on the way here. The Tarras, if we get a little bigger, we can, let's say 4 people. If we could get 4 trained ogre hunters, or just, monster hunters, patrolling the western trail to climb Grimm, that would probably be worth something to them. And one of Tarius' main things is getting the roads to be safe again, because he thinks that's something that sells Tarra's fists to the general public, is the idea that we keep the roads safe. So, it's just something that pops into Tarius' head at this point.
Yeah. So he says, well, I'm glad that we can finish this off on a positive note then. I will make sure that that the 2.5 tons of iron are delivered to Tarra's Fist in Moordrake. And hopefully you can make good use of it. I'm not sure when it'll arrive. I'd imagine probably before you get back to Moordrake, considering you're still heading east. But so I suppose that's all that matters to you. But probably a week or so before it'll arrive. Maybe 2 weeks, depending on, it is a lot of iron now that I think about it. But anyway, I'm not used to shipping iron. I'm only an iron magnet. It's not like I do this a lot. I don't sell large quantities of iron to people. No, anyway. Oh wait, that's all I do. No, anyway. But he says, anyway. Well, I'm glad that we could help each other in this instance, and if there's any aid that my clan can offer you in getting the boy back, do not hesitate to ask. As I said, I respect the Gormlands, and well, this country needs gentle but firm leadership, in a time like this especially. And the Gormlands are definitely one of those types of families. It would be a pity if they were lost to the ages.
Well, there is another, Martin, but I think rulership is not within his desires.
He squints his eyes and he says, Martin Gormland. Oh, yes, the old codger himself. I believe I spoke to him, must have been 15 years ago at a banquet. Yes, he is a very interesting and kind man, although, as you said, he did not strike me as one screaming for opportunities of leadership to be handed to him. But he seemed like a nice enough gent. Perhaps, I say that, and many of the best leaders are not ones who ever sought it out to begin with. They're those who had it thrust upon them.
Always used to say. I never believed him.
He laughs at that and says, "Well, I think that is a good end to business. As I said, any help I can offer you, and make yourself at home where you're at Clan Grimm. The mead and the ale is free, as is the boar."
That will make my traveling companions very happy. Now that you mentioned with the aid, we are traveling to Whitevale on the Eastern Trail. We wouldn't mind an escort. There is safety in numbers.
An escort for Tarra's fist. I think it can be done. It is not an unreasonable request. Let me think. Roll a persuasion check. Unless you roll very, very low, he's going to offer you some escort. Depending on how high you roll, is going to be how much of an escort he provides.
I assume he's not from a feudal culture.
No. Yeah. He is the feudal culture. Okay. He says, "I would be happy to offer you two of some of my good warriors to accompany you on the trail."
Do they know the trail? Will they be able to navigate for us?
Oh yeah. Yes, if anything, they know it better than Ragnar here does. The old man hasn't walked it in many a moon, I would say. And he sort of gives this, playful glance to Ragnar, and he says, "But yes, they're some of the men that we send to patrol the trail every week."
All right. I think that actually cuts out our other meeting. Then we don't really need that anymore. Cool. Sounds good to me. I will give him a respectful nod. I'll grab some ale, grab some bacon. I will ask if there are beds in this city.
He says, "Do you ask this to him or Ragnar?"
I'll ask to Ragnar, I guess.
Okay. I will say, but as you're walking away, the grandfather, who has remained completely quiet this entire time, raises his flagon to you and says in very broken low Orisian, he says, "To the fist!" he says, and then he drinks.
My fist. I tap the thing on my armor. Yeah.
From your limited knowledge of this, I mean, it was this grandfather who, at some point, established this relationship with the fist, right?
Nice.
When he was younger. So, not when he was like a boy, but like when he was younger than he is now, he saw fit to establish this relationship with the fist. So, like, he's probably, in some ways, he might be your greatest ally here. He's just very old and tired.
That's really cool. I like this guy already. Also, he's the Tarius of the dwarves because he's old and frail. And then
Oh god, can you imagine Tarius if he does live to old age? He'll just be an absolute sack of shit.
One day he'll gather all of his family around and say, "I've lived a good life, but it is time."
And he removes
the amulet, and he's already really old. And he
just turns to dust. Everyone's like, "Oh god!" And all your family are just vomiting as you turn into a ghoulish figure.
No, it's just a pile of dust with an amulet on top.
That's amazing.
I'll always be with you in here. The amulet.
Because I will not be here much longer. Yeah.
Because my soul will be trapped in the amulet forever. I'm a lich now.
It will possess future generations.
This is my phylactery. Keep it safe.
That's funny. I'm Voldemort. No, but you end up so you end up walking away. You ask Ragnar if there's a bed, And he says, nope, no. He says, yes, of course. In the Western Corridor, there's plenty of dormitories and beds and the like. There are rooms for guests such as yourself. The whole company, I'll make sure, provided rooms.
Excellent. Then I will, considering, like, wait, no, so Ragni said it in, what did Ragni, no. When Ragni said they're gonna drink a lot when I'm asleep, was that in Dwarvish or was that in Lower Risian?
It was in Lower Risian.
Okay, in that case, knowing that that's the attitude around, I will take a quick sip, a hearty meal, and I'll take an early night.
I think what he meant was not necessarily...
I know.
He would love if you drank with him, but you have a reputation for being very frail and having to get out of bed early, whereas the rest of the lads stay up and they'll tell stories.
I know to I make sure that Alessandro knows exactly where I'm sleeping, and then I will.
Because if he misses, if he can't find it, those minutes will be crucial, where your heart starts to give out.
I'll also, before I go to bed, I say to Alessandro, I'm not sure what storage they have here. So if you could you look after my things for me tonight? And I give him my swords and my bow.
He walks away very mischievously. No, he says, of course. And he takes it with him, and he goes to his room. You think Alessandro is also going to bed early, or at least he's going to his room early.
He might probably in case I die. He's got a very important job.
Yep. Whereas, you can tell that Serenal, by the time you were finished with your conversation, was already a few drinks in, and Ragni goes to join him. And at some point, they probably even get Kristen in on the merriment and have a few drinks with her.
She's drinking pints out of her new scales.
Yeah. And you... and that's funny. And you said you had a meal and a little drink before you went to bed.
Yeah.
Okay. I like
large
it.
Meal. A very hot.
Oh, a large meal.
I asked if they have any milk.
They said, "Well, we've got lots of milk," and they bring you a pitcher of milk.
There you go. I'll drink the pitcher of milk and a sip of ale, and then I'll head to bed.
Nice. Not too much ale might literally kill you.
It's poison,
Yeah, so you might get liver poisoning. And you then go. You then go to your rest, your final rest, if you will.
My eternal reward.
Your eternal reward. That's another one of my favorite quotes in D&D. Just if I can work in that genie reference, I will. But you go to bed, and the next day you wake up to the sound of dwarves everywhere. And they're all just going dwarf.
Also, I could turn my light on, by the way, but I'm kind of digging the
it's like all I can see is your face. It's just
I'm a floating head now.
It's funny. Well, yeah. Once again, the difference between our time zones is readily apparent. Striking. I can still see some light coming through those windows, though. So it's not completely dark, is it? It's like
it's summer.
dusk.
It's midsummer, so it's
okay.
There's that. Yeah, it's kind of It's,
also, I think, like you're technically more north than I am. So like it's in the summer, the days are even longer there than they are here. I remember noticing that in Germany because I'd never been that far north before. I remember the fucking sun came up at like 4:30 in the morning, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" I was like really confused.
That's the thing. The days do get really long everywhere I've lived.
If you ever came to the US, you would. That's crazy. It's unusual for the days to be that long here, especially if you live like in the southern US, obviously. But yeah, so you go to bed and you wake up the next morning with Alessandro.
With Alessandro.
Oh yeah, he was in bed with you. He says, "Good, hello."
When I gave you the ball, Alessandro, I knew it would be good, but I did not expect.
Alessandro shakes you awake and you can see that he has your things placed on a little cloth to the foot of your bed, and he has awoken you, and you can tell if you look at the things, it looks like he cleaned them. The swords look nice, kind of the condition you keep them in. The bow has never been this clean in months.
Oh, I
you
did
think
not
he
know
oiled...
there was a snake on the front, Sandro.
You think he washed it and oiled it by hand, and he's you can tell he's waiting to cringe as you're about to destroy it again.
I slowly I slowly walk towards the table. Oh, this is very fine work, Alessandro. I did not expect this. Thank you. Put the swords slowly away. And I crack my knuckles.
Oh god.
I pick up the bow and I put it on my back.
Okay. He's like, oh. He says, very good. Well, anyway, there is, I believe that there's food if you want your normal breakfast. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I smell it.
Well, apparently they have lots of milk here, so let's get to it.
Yeah, so you go out there and you can see a bunch of dwarves. Actually, not that many dwarves now I think about it. You probably get up at about 8 o'clock in the morning, and by the time you've awoken, there's not many dwarves back in the hall. There's a few getting a sort of a late breakfast, but from what you can tell, the dwarves get up early and get their breakfast early and get to work early. Which is crazy because you're pretty sure they were all still drinking as late as probably 3 in the morning. And there is
I remember when you got to Dagosto in the Visors campaign, you were a bit crazy because they didn't sleep a lot. And my thing was if you live underground, it probably fucks up your sleep. And it's probably the same with the dwarves. Yeah,
there's probably that, and I also think dwarves have such a I think dwarves are the epitome of play hard, work hard, right? Yeah. They fucking go hard when they're drinking, and then they do 12 hours of horrible menial labor without complaining. Dwarves are a really interesting race in that sense, at least in the context of D&D and Tolkien fantasy and that sort of thing. Yeah. And my dwarves are, as you could probably tell, unapologetically Tolkien in their inspiration. I don't go super Tolkien with my elves, but I love Tolkien's dwarves. And you see as there are a few dwarves though, and they are eating some food that has been set out. And if you take a seat, there's some bread, some butter, a little bit of bacon and eggs, things like that. And then if you ask for, they also have cider. Most of the dwarves seem to be drinking cider. Yeah. But if you ask for milk, they can provide it.
Cool. I will ask for a pitcher of milk. The head thing was starting to creep me out.
Yep. The head thing was starting to creep you out.
Yeah, there was too clean of a connection on the sides. I was like, that's too freaky. I was just seeing my face. I was like, no, I don't like that. I will ask for milk.
Okay, you ask for milk. A pitcher of milk is brought to you.
I do noticeably drink more cider than I would ale, though. But not a lot still. Probably half.
Oh, yeah. You're a fan of cider?
Yeah, I think Tarius would find it lighter, I guess. I probably would have drunk it a lot, just as basically a soft drink at this era, right? So, yeah.
No, yeah, of course. Best soft drink around. It's a sody pop. They give it to the kids.
True.
You have your meal, you drink your milk. The dwarves at the head table, the grandfather's still sitting there. You're not even sure if he moved. And the father appears to be up and about, speaking with people. You don't see the son.
Do I see Ragni? There's one of the sons.
Oh, you see Ragni? Yeah. You see your whole company. Your whole company ate with you.
No, I'm making a joke because you said you don't see the son. I see
the son. Yeah, there are sons. Yeah, you see Ragni, of course, but you do not see his brother. Ragni says, "Well, I hope you all had a fine taste of dwarvish hospitality."
It was good. Yeah. It was quiet. That's helpful. No chirping birds outside. I fucking hate birds.
Yeah, actually, that I forgot to mention that. But yeah, even though that there was basically a party going on just a couple 100 feet away from you, because the rooms are made of solid stone, doesn't matter. Not one echo gets through that. So completely silent, even though there was crazy stuff going on down the hall.
I think Tarius would definitely be a big fan of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever you've ever been underground, but sound does not, like, if you're in certain environments underground, sound doesn't travel very well at all. Like, it gets muffled. Sometimes you'll be in a perfect echo chamber where you can hear it and echoes fly around, but sometimes you'll be in this boxy kind of room and sound doesn't travel at all. So these rooms are kind of like that. They're more boxy. And
the only time I can remember being underground is I did a tour of a brewery once in the Czech Republic.
Oh, nice. An underground brewery.
Not all of it was underground, but the cellar, I think, where they stored.
Like in caves? That's really cool.
It was pretty cavernous, yeah.
That's really cool. And obviously by underground I didn't mean like basements, but yeah. No, but that's cool. That would be a cool tour. Anyway,
I recommend it. It's if you know the type of beer Pilsner.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I went to it comes from Pilsen, which was pretty close to is like the city over from where I was living. So I went to like the brewery for that. So that's pretty cool.
The one.
I mean, it
nice.
The original one, yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So you are at this point greeted by two men who walk up to you. Actually, a man and a woman. And the man says, they're both dwarves, and the man says, "Well, I would like to introduce myself. I am, my name is Monjo, and this is my friend Khalees."
Pleasure.
Totally didn't make those names up.
Fist. I presume you are escort.
Indeed, that's us, Monjo and Khalees.
Monjo and Khalees. Okay. Do you know how long it is going to take us to get to the White Veil?
Well, that's a good question, ain't it? If we take the straight and narrow path, which is neither straight nor is it narrow. Well, it is narrow at some points, but if we take that path, I would imagine it would take us about 4 days if we're traveling at a good pace. I would say we could make it in 3 if you really want to push it each day.
Are there natural stopping places where we can rest each of those days?
There are 2 towers we can rest at. Unfortunately, there is a pretty long stretch between those 2 in which we will have to camp.
Even if we were to make it in 3 days, you do not think we could make the second tower on the second day?
He scratches his head and he says, "Well, if anything, if we make it in 3 days, the complex nature of the journey might mean that..." Well, I'll say this. I don't know exactly what towers we'd be able to make it to in 3 days. Because I've never pushed that journey before. But I'd imagine we could make at least one of the towers. Possible that we could make all... possible that we could make both of them in the 2 days before the third, but it's hard to say. He's just basically saying, like, he doesn't know what hour you will eventually stop pushing it on, because he's, it depends on how much you want to push each day. You get the sense that he thinks it's possible, though, if you really wanted to.
Well, and how dangerous are these trails? How likely is it we're going to run into something that is going to get angry at us?
Well, between you and me, there have been more creatures out in the trails as of late. Not entirely sure why, but there's a possibility we could run into something. If we do, hopefully, we can scare it off. A lot of the things in these mountains don't like big groups of people. If it's something really nasty, then we might have to hold our ground.
What kinds of creatures have been showing up lately?
There's been more wolves than usual. Usually the wolves don't come this high up in the mountains, but perhaps they're not getting enough food or something. I'm not sure why, but there have been many reports of wolf packs. In addition, there has been word of there's been word of orcs. There is a tribe of orcs on one of the northern precipices on a mountain pass. Not like ours, different, not as well traveled. And, well, occasionally we do see them come this far south. Maybe trying to raid commerce, hard to say. If we run into them, unlikely we'd be able to scare them off. They'd probably have to just fight them. And running away from orcs is difficult. He says, beyond that, as long as we stay on the trail, we can avoid most of the dangerous things the mountain has to offer, like the white worms of the north.
The white worms of the north, you say?
Indeed. Dragons.
Dragons? Oh. Does Tarius know what a dragon is?
Yeah. Dragons are just so ubiquitous, and it'd be something every child would be told at some point.
These just legendary, legendary
yeah,
creatures.
they're just very legendary. It's if it's not something you'd be interested in, you might not know a lot of factual information about dragons, but you know legends about them. You know, they're giant. Actually, you probably think that they're giant fire-breathing beasts. So you probably, the one misfact that you probably have is you probably think white dragons aren't still breathe fire. Yeah, I doubt you think they breathe ice, or cold blasts. So that is one confusion you probably have banging around your head that if it doesn't get cleared and you run into a white dragon, you're gonna be like, "Where's the fire?"
Is there a bounty up on these dragons?
He goes, "Please, sir, it would kill you immediately. It don't even. You would be dead so quickly."
But it would be an honorable death.
It would be a foolish death.
I suppose you are right. These orcs and these wolves, are they nocturnal? Do you have reports of them attacking travelers in the day?
Oh, they'll attack anytime they can. Wolves are tricky creatures, but they're not entirely nocturnal.
As for the orcs?
The orcs, they are throat rippers. They like to attack at night if they can. But orcs are cunning. If they know you're near, I don't think that they would... During the day, they're probably more likely to track you. Then, once you've set up camp, attack you in the night. But don't worry. We'll set up hearty watches and make sure everyone's aware in the case of something like that happening. Like I said, I doubt a pack of orcs large enough to challenge a group as big as ours is going to come through the mountains. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 6 plus the dogs. So I would say...
I said to him, I know you have not made this trip in one day before, but you would have made it across 2. Could you give me an estimate in hours as to how long is the distance?
No, he's at 3. Wait, what?
Let me finish the sentence. It was correct.
Oh, okay.
Could you give me an estimate as to how long the distance is between the first tower and the second? Because you made that trip in 2 days, right? Yeah.
Yeah. 1, 2, yeah. He says, well, I would say... Are you looking for miles or how many hours it takes?
Yeah.
He says, I would say there's some really rough, craggy bits of the road there. I would say it would probably take about 13 hours.
Okay. Now
14, perhaps.
Usually we would travel 8, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And then am I right in saying that the way you're doing exhaustion is that you have to make con checks for every hour past 8 you travel?
Yeah, I just do it by the I believe it's the DM's guide. It's you do, there's a rule in it there. So it's you do every hour past 8, you do the con check is 10 plus the amount of hours that you are past 8 hours, and you keep making them every hour. If you fail, you get exhaustion. So at 9 hours, you make a DC 11 con save. At 10 hours, DC 12, 13, at 11 hours, DC 13, 12 hours, DC 14, so on and so forth. And if you, obviously, you know the rules to exhaustion, I assume, so you can. By the way, I don't know if you knew this. There is an option to turn on exhaustion in the player's character sheets, if that's something you're interested in.
Yeah, I've already got it on because I got exhaustion last time.
Okay, yeah.
Can I get the bedroll?
Huh?
I asked the dwarf, can I get the bedroll? Okay, that's hard to say in Tarius' accent. Can I get a bedroll?
Oh! I was wondering what the fuck is he saying?
Really hard to get over that R. It's like a fucking peak in the middle of the word.
Bedroll. I thought you were saying bedroll. And I was like, what's bedroll? Okay. He says, well, I imagine, yes, you can get a bedroll. You don't have a bedroll.
I don't. I know. It's crazy. I thought I had one. I left home and I was like, oh, I could make something to pack my bedroll. And, nope. But I got this useless bow.
We've all been there. I once forgot to take a bedroll with me on a patrol, and I had to sleep for an entire week on rocks. It was not fun.
I think I would die.
He says, well, yes, we can provide a bedroll. No problem.
Do you know the distance between here and the first tower in hours?
Some amount. Let's figure that out. It's
because that was, I think that was probably expected to be done in a day, regardless. Yeah.
Yes, that's supposed to be done in a day. 7 hours to the first tower.
Okay. All right. Well, here's the plot. I'm going to say this out of character, but I'm going to have relayed it to everybody as Tarius. The plan is to get to the first tower tonight, rest there, then the next day to push it, but as soon as I think as soon as I've got 2 levels of exhaustion, I will give up and set up camp.
Yeah.
Let me just confirm with my compendium to make sure I'm not mistaken. The second level is speed is halved.
Well, also, if you just set your exhaustion up, it will tell you what the effects are on your player character sheet.
Yeah.
But, yeah, your speed will be half to hit second level, but when you sleep, you remove 1.
Yeah.
So, it's effectively, whatever, your exhaustion the next day is effectively going to be 1 minus. Or, it's going to be 1 minus whatever you have.
Yeah, but once your speed is halved, you're not making any progress anyway, so...
By the way, just to let you know, the total hours of the journey is 27 hours. So if you push it into, if theoretically, if you pushed it,
so we do 7 hours today. There was 14 to the other tower, but you said
actually no, it's 13. I think I said 14 maybe, but I think it's probably more 13.
Said 13, but he said in character he said maybe 14. So he wouldn't know exactly, right? So out of character it's 13. So that would mean there's another. Did you say 27? So there's another 7 hours on the other side of that tower.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty good actually. That's pretty good. 13. 5.
You can see why they do it in when they're not in a rush. You can see why they do it in 4 days.
Absolutely, yeah. I will say to them offhandedly, you should set up a third tower. It's way safer than camping out there with orcs and wolves.
He says, well, there have been talks about building a 3rd tower.
You should call it the Tarius tower.
Well, if I'm sure you should tell my not my grandfather. I'm so sorry.
Just Ragni slap him.
You piece of shit. No, you should tell the head of the clan that idea. But I believe that there have been discussions of it. But it takes. Well, the last tower we built, it took us 15 years to build.
You haven't gotten started yet on this next one.
No.
Okay, well, not
we do things.
Not something for this journey then.
He says we take our time with things.
Absolutely, and it shows.
Many humans find themselves getting impatient around dwarves for that reason.
Yeah, you've got time, eh?
Indeed.
Right. Well,
at least we don't take as much time as the damned elves. And he gives Alessandro a hit on the shoulder, and Alessandro lifts his glass to him and says, "Yes, indeed," and drinks.
All right, that's the plan. First day, normal. Second day, hell.
Second day, hell. Nice.
In a cell.
I like it. It would be really rough if right as you're about to reach the tower and you're exhausted, you get attacked. That would be brutal.
That's why I'm capping it at 2, because I think I could actually defend myself at 2.
That's fair. Yeah, because it's only your ability checks and speed. It's not affecting your attack rolls or saving throws.
Or health.
Yeah, or health.
Well,
does it eventually affect your health?
Eventually affect your health, yeah.
Yikes. And 5 is death, right?
Yeah.
So 5 is
just
death.
6 is death. 5 is...
6 is death.
Yeah, 5 is your speed is reduced to 0.
Gotcha. That's rough.
That is rough.
So you're just... you're just completely... You have to just have someone carry you around. It would be fun to have a character permanently at 5 levels of exhaustion. Just kidding, it wouldn't.
It might be.
It might be.
You should try that out one day. With that
they wouldn't be very good at anything.
Tattooed dwarven troll slat. Alright, so...
oh no, please no!
We're heading out with our escort and our boys and our dog.
Your boys and your dog.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for that meddling Tarius and his dumb dog too.
Okay. You guys set out, the 2 dwarves in your escort in your company. The Ragni takes you back up the path. And this time, instead of lighting all the torches, he just takes one with you. So you can see while you're walking.
So there's only one entrance to Clan Grimm. It doesn't go through the path. It's like...
No, the path went outside it. So you could theoretically walk past Clan Grimm. Although Ragni will mention that there's lots of ways for them to stop people from traveling along that path if they don't want them to.
Cool.
If you ask more questions, you could find out what those are, but it depends.
I think I'll leave that for now because it clearly wasn't good enough to stop the goblins. But it is cool, but I don't like Tarius.
That's true. It's probably pretty shit.
That's very mean.
So you guys get to the exit, and you see as Ragni speaks some word to the back of the door in Dwarvish, and the door begins to open again. Except, unlike the first time when you opened it from the outside, when you open it from the inside, runes on the back of the door light up with blue light and shine in the hall, and then the door opens. Cool. And then you walk out, and you're back in the chill. It's actually probably pretty bracing. It was very warm. Considering you're underground, it was very warm in there because of all the fires. Very bracing to walk back out into this mountain pass with the wind howling and chill breeze. And Ragni taps a few things on the wall, and the door closes again. And the dwarf who told you his name is Monjo says, "Well, we shall begin our journey. Everyone keep your hands and arms inside the path at all times." That's just a joke. And
pulling my arm off the path.
It just gets bitten immediately by a wolf. Just
I'm dead. I'm actually dead.
I told you not to stick it outside. We have enchantments that keep wolves out.
I want proof. Do you see any wolves?
Okay, so you set out on your journey to the next tower, and I think we're going to end the session here.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay, that was a good session. Pretty simple. A fun time at Clan Grimm. No battles, which is good for Tarius because it means he survived another session.
It's true. Tarius is such a long-lived character now. He's here. It's 7 sessions survived. an ogre, some animated armor, a couple of wolves under his belt.
Yeah. Who knows what else he might have had to survive at that haunted house if you stayed there.
One day Tarius is going to kill one of the ancient northern worms. But he's going to have to figure out a way to survive the breath.
Ancient! You're going to go after an ancient one.
Oh, no. Definitely a young one. But... maybe even a wormling if he can find it. But the problem, out of character, is that Tarius is never going to be able to survive a breath weapon.
Without an amulet of health.
Yeah, I think he'd be okay if he gets that.
An amulet of health would... Amulet of health would at least make things better.
Amulet of health would actually make Tarius, like, really strong. Yeah.
Although, there's nothing to get away from the fact that, like... Because I think we talked about this. You lost a lot of HP that a character would normally get every level from rolling.
We talked about this before. You actually get protected. It's better to do it this way. Yeah, but no matter what, all you're getting back is the stuff from the amulet. Like, what I'm saying is you're weaker than a character who got the amulet. No. Because if again, we've been through the math before. If a character with like normal cost, like I have a safety net, because for me 1 through 6 is just ignored, whereas everybody else could lose health from that. Whereas for me, I'm always getting a minimum of 1. You know what I mean? I can never go below 1. So like that, for that reason, I've got a bit of a safety net that players don't have if they roll otherwise. So like, we've been through the math before. I've got a safety net. I will have the average basically. Whereas if you roll, like on average, I think it's stronger to do it this way than to do it.
Won't you just get more back from your con though?
The math is I'll get 9 times my level from the con.
Christ, that's a lot. Okay, yeah.
So right now, if I got it, I would get... Cheers. Right now, I would get 27. So I'd be on 34, which is pretty high for a 3rd level fighter, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you would have 37?
Yeah, I would have 37. I'm pretty sure. Because I get 9 times my level. Yeah, it would be 37. Shit. Sorry, it would be 27 I'd get. And
what's your level?
3.
Okay, 3. Yeah, okay. Nice. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. And you would have... Amulet of Health raises it to +4, right?
Yeah, to 19.
Okay.
Yeah, it is very confusing math. We had this conversation before, and it makes my head hurt. So I don't want to have the conversation again. But I know the math is there. So...
Gosh, this is...
It is. It's horrible.
This is weird and annoying.
I believe if a mathematician, someone who actually studied math, were in this conversation, he would tell you, like, yeah, he probably would tell you this is a very niche, difficult area of math. He'd have a word for it. And I don't think it's beyond us. It's a certain type of equation, I bet. But it's...
There's something I'm missing.
Well, you can go and look into that. I need
to run over the equations again.
I need to eat.
No, anyway.
I don't even know. So I usually go through notable things in this.
You get no rations.
Yeah, I usually go through notable things at the end in an attempt to convince you to give me XP. But honestly, I'm not sure if I have anything I would argue I deserve XP for today, unless turning this into the leader of the clan is some sort of quest and you do something like that. I don't know. But
well, I think that's a good point. I think for turning it in...
And also the goblin.
I think that's
stuff.
probably... I think turning it in is probably worth like 200 XP. I'll say that today's XP is 200.
200. That's nice and generous of you. Thank you. Actually, not just me. I'm pretty close to level 4. I'm, if you're curious, 425.
I would never be curious. No, I am. That's good to know.
Yeah. At least if
I'm glad that you are getting close. You have a -5 to HP, right? That God. You're just so close to dying.
It's -5 to con, yeah.
Yeah, -5 to con, yeah. Yeah, obviously your HP is not -5. You're just like...
Yeah, I have 7.
You're just literally
I have 7
dead.
HP, Marshall, at level 3. I have 7 HP, yeah.
That's so brutal. That's so fucking brutal.
I honestly though, I think it's a cool character build. Like at the end of the day, like I think this feels more like a rogue than playing a rogue. He's just playing a fighter
Yeah.
with fucking one con. Especially, I think the build will be fun if he ever makes it to level 8. If he's got assassination and alert and multi-attack. Because then that's 5 attacks in a round. All of them are auto crits.
Okay.
What's up?
I just ran through it, and
Okay.
I think you only get 34. You would only have 34 HP, not 37.
Correct. I would gain 27, resulting in 34.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd have exactly the same amount. God damn it, I hate that. That's so weird.
Yeah, I'd have exactly the same amount as if I took the average, but if you rolled and got less, you would have less than me. But because I have a safeguard, I can't roll and get less. Because even if I rolled a 3, I still got 1. Whereas you would have gone like -3. I'm like a 3 is exactly the same as a 6 for me. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because of +5 is this.
Yeah, it is mind-bending math, but I will end up with the average.
Feels dirty and I don't like it.
Okay.
You should be weak no matter what. No, I'm just kidding.
No, chill, bro. Like, homebrew, we'll
Chill.
No,
Chill.
no, I don't mean chill, bro, as in like relax. I mean like that's chill with me, bro. Like homebrew it so that I have to re-roll every level when I get it. I'm chill with that. I'll do it.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I do think it's funny, but
It is funny.
it's definitely weird math. Fucks with me.
Okay, I'm
I
gonna
don't
move
like
off
it.
the roll
Okay.
20 screen real quick, because then I can actually use one of my monitors.
Well, I hope the boys and girls at home had a good time today. Tarius, this is more of a role play session. Tarius got to meet some dwarves. I think next session, if we're lucky, if we're really lucky, Tarius might get to fight something. We'll find out.
I think next session is going to be very exciting because we are going to have to do a. I'm really interested to see how Tarius' has attempted 14-day or 13-hour travel day goes. That could get very messy.
Yeah, so that's 5 hours.
Yeah.
You'll have to make a DC 11 con save, DC 12, DC 13, DC 14, DC 15.
And remember, everybody's going to make that, right? Or is it just me?
Everyone in the party.
Make it,
Everyone
yeah.
in the party,
So
even your guides.
Even my guy. Yeah, and I will say, Tarius is going to push on if some people get level 3. It's only Tarius who will stop it.
Yeah, although the chance that Tarius survives this better than the others is astronomically low. Because you have stuff.
Tarius is proficient in Constitution saving throws.
Doesn't that mean you have a -3?
Yeah, it's not too bad. All right, come up with a name for the session and wrap us up.
Okay. Today, I hope everyone enjoyed, and this was, what is this, the 7th?
Yeah.
Or the 8th?
It's 7th.
Today was the 7th session called The Humble Hall of Clan Grimm.